I'm delighted to say I'm joined by the director of the Dutch Darts Association, Paul Engelbertink. Thank you very much for joining us, Paul. How are you doing?
Very well. Thank you very much.
Now, firstly, we'll start at the beginning for you in darts. Where did your interest come from, and how long have you been involved in the sport through playing or being an official?
My interest for the sport came a long time ago, and I think my interest came with the interest of a lot of other Dutch players, and that was obviously when Raymond van Barneveld was playing on the Lakeside stage back in 1998, I believe, and he won the title. It was a massive success in the Netherlands. It was live on television, and it was the beginning, I think, of a lot of people in the Netherlands for being interested in darts.
So before that first title for Barney, go on to have a lot of success in the BDO and the PDC. What was the darts scene like in the Netherlands, the general concept of darts? Was there much interest in it before then?
Yeah, there was a lot of interest, especially in The Hague, in a part of the Netherlands. And then I speak about the years 90, 80, I think, something like that. But the main success and particularly came after the successes of Raymond van Barneveld. I believe you can say that. He's a true icon, and what he did for the sports in the Netherlands is massive.
On yourself, though, in September of last year, you were appointed as the new director of the NDB, the Dutch Darts Association. You've been involved with them a little while, I think, since around 2012. But how did it come about you getting involved in that side of darts?
I was always interested in sports in general, but particularly also in darts. And a position at the NDB office came free. And, I simply applied because I wanted to join and I wanted to help to bring darts in the Netherlands to a higher level. And since 2012, indeed, I'm working for the Dutch Darts Association and have done that with a lot of pleasure.
Earlier in 2019, you were put in as the interim director after Niels de Witt stepped down. How did you find that period stepping in to help out? And did that give you the urge to maybe want to take that role on full time like you have done now?
Yeah, it was a good trial for sure. But obviously it's a different position to do it interim than to do it, after Niels left. Obviously, you want to put your own, you want to give your own direction a go as well. I really enjoyed it. I think there's a lot of challenges. There's a lot of things to develop, especially internationally, obviously, with all the Darts Association now, with the BDO not being here anymore, new direction with the WDF. So there's a lot going on. So interesting times. And I think I have a really interesting job and I really enjoy it.
Good to hear. Well, you probably couldn't have picked a more challenging first year to have in the role, especially the last 6 or 7 months with the pandemic. And as you mentioned there, the BDO falling away. But how have you found it, though, trying to run the NDB in that time?
Well, this is a really good question. Lately, I said it's been a really tough last couple of months. Because normally, since I started with working for the Dutch Darts Association, every year is in a way similar to the year before. And obviously, sometimes you organize in the European Cup or whatever, and that's new then in that year. But this year, literally everything was different. We had a lot of problems, obviously, with the BDO. I started in September, and then straight after September, everything started with the BDO. We took off the BDO points from the Dutch Open, which was interesting. Obviously, a lot of things going on at the BDO World Championships. Then, luckily, we had the Dutch Open, which was a success. And after that, everything changed with the pandemic, with Corona. And it was really interesting. I've done a lot of things that I expected not to be doing this year. And I had a few goals for myself. Some of them we managed, but some of them we didn't due to Corona. So in a way, I'm happy with how things are going. In a way, I'm, sometimes a bit disappointed with the things, with how things are going. And for example, with cancelling the Dutch Open, that is a decision that I didn't like to take.
Yeah, you touched on the Dutch Open. Going to come on to that news that came out over the weekend in a moment. But before we do, for anyone who hasn't been, including myself in here as well, just tell us what makes the Dutch Open such a special event.
Well, have you ever been to the Dutch Open?
No, not yet.
Well, you have to then. The Dutch Open is not just an event. It's not just a darts event. It's so much more. It's a real party. It's a Dutch darts party. We have so many people there. We have a party tent there. We have the atmosphere is incredible. Yeah, I honestly think that you should come and should experience it. All the people that I speak that come there for the first time, they are really amazed. They don't have a clue what they see and what it's like. So yeah, that's basically what I could say to everybody listening to the show as well. Make sure that at one day you come to the Dutch Open and experience what it is. I saw a tweet from one of our master callers, and well, he said as well, it's the biggest and best event, and that's because of the atmosphere, because of the MCs, because of the party tent, because of everybody being in such an such a positive vibe there. It's it's something that you should enjoy.
Definitely, and in terms of numbers, it is the biggest open in world darts. You have something like 5, 6, 7,000 players all competing in various events over the weekend. A lot of history behind the event as well. Been running for close to 50 years now, and of course one of the big moments, Sean Greatbatch hitting the first live 9-darter on TV. What are your favourite memories when you think back to the event so far?
Well, one of my the first thing that comes into my mind is the 9-darter of Daryl Fitton. I think that was 2014 or something, 2015. I'm not sure exactly what year it was, but I remember standing in the hall and Daryl going for a 9-darter, and it completely exploded. There was beer flying everywhere, people cheering, and he won a car at that moment. We had a car at the main stage, and he won it. So that was just 5 minutes of madness, which I remember straight really well.
Having all those people involved playing, what would you say that the key things to making sure that the event does run smoothly during that weekend each year?
Well, the first thing I would say is that we have a great relationship with all of our partners and suppliers. And we have a team there from around 50 till 60 volunteers that know exactly what they have to do. We take almost 2 months preparation, and we inform our volunteers really well, and they know exactly what to do. Most of them are there already for years. And I think that is the main secret behind the Dutch Open, is that we have a team with people that know how to run an event smoothly. And that's something that you need.
And the news, of course, which came out over the weekend, is that next year's Dutch Open, originally penciled in for that first weekend of February, pushed back now to September. A sensible decision, probably, given that the current climate at the moment. But talk us through it. Was it an easy one to make?
Well, in a way, it is an easy one to make because everybody knows, you guys in the UK as well, but here in Europe as well, that in recent weeks, the coronavirus has had too many opportunities to spread. So all kinds of governments here in the Netherlands as well decide that stricter measures are needed. So in that way, it's an easy decision because you will understand that February will come too early to have 7,000 people packed in one venue to have an darts event / party. Yeah, that's not possible. Simply not possible in February. Then again, the decision gets harder because then you have to decide, okay, what are we going to do then? Are we going to cancel it for the whole year, or are we going to organize it at another time? And in a way, it looks a simple decision to say, okay, we're going to September, but it's not just us to make that decision. Obviously, we have a venue that needs availability. We work with different partners and different suppliers, as I just said. So everybody needs to be on the same page. So we had to find a proper date. And even looking for September, October, it is already hard to find a good date there. But we did find one. It's the first weekend of September, 3, 4, 5 September. Yeah, and I'm really happy that we have the event as the Dutch Open is, and it's ranked platinum by the WDF. So I'm extremely happy that we have it on the diary, although it's not February, it's 7 months later.
Glad to hear you've got a new date anyway, and we've seen small crowds for PDC events in Austria and Germany over the last couple of months, still behind closed doors here in the UK. But how are things in the Netherlands right now?
Yeah, in the Netherlands, most tournaments, darts, but also other sports are all cancelled, unless you have certain events that are a bit smaller or that you can organize and where you can keep and that is happening with the PDC events. Obviously, not many players, and you can do a certain testing. But for example, with an event like the Dutch Open, where you have 7,000 people, that's impossible. But things are not looking that well in the Netherlands. I believe government said that they will look that they will see what happens in the next couple of days, and then we may be heading into a full lockdown again, which is obviously not good for economy, but also not good for all the sports event in our country.
Two more before we let you go, and should talk a little bit about Dutch darts in general. We've got the WDF Virtual Cup going on at the moment. Richard Veenstra and Arlene de Graaf flying the flag for you guys. You've got the PDC World Cup coming up next week. You've got Michael van Gerwen and Danny Noppert representing you guys. What do you make of the state of Dutch darts right now, though, with the players that you've got?
Well, I think Dutch darts is doing really well. It's doing really well over the last few years, obviously. With Michael van Gerwen being number one for so long already. Yeah, I think we have everything well organized here in the Netherlands. We have a good system behind it. And the best players can play easily at a national level against each other. We are obviously also not very big as a country. So I think we have a really well organized and good system behind it. And if you look at the different rankings, for example, the BDO ranking, WDF ranking, PDC ranking, there's always Dutch players in the top. Like you said, with the Virtual Cup, Arlene de Graaf, Richard Veenstra, two really well-known players that can win it. And I also think that Danny Noppert, together with Michael van Gerwen, are one of the favorites to win the title. So it's looking very well, looking good.
And before we let you go, should get your thoughts on another recent announcement from Dutch darts, your most popular player ever, the player that we mentioned at the beginning, Raymond van Barneveld, coming back out of retirement. He's going to be going to Q School next year to try and get back on the PDC circuit. What was the reaction from yourself and everyone really in Netherlands to the news when it came out?
I was surprised, and I think with me, most of the darts fans were surprised, because a comeback after 9 months is quite soon. So in that case, I was really surprised. But yeah, well, Van Barneveld is a real icon, like I said already. The man has meant so much for the sport. He basically made the sport big in the Netherlands. So yeah, I think it's wonderful that he's going to start again. Whether it will be a success, I don't know. He will need to play all the tournaments again, travel and stay in hotels. And yeah, all those things were the things that made him really, really tired, and were the things that made him want to quit darts. But yeah, I think he should go for it. He has a good team around him now, I believe. And he has enough talent to be able to beat all the best players in the circuit, that's for sure. So who knows? I wish him all the best of luck.
Well, Paul, it's a pleasure to chat to you. Really appreciate your time, and best wishes for the rest of the year and next year when the Dutch Open hopefully comes around in September, and it's all good to go around then. So thanks very much for your time.
Thank you very much, and promise me to come to the Dutch Open one day.